Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yellow Hell Get Good Season 7 Grand Finals for the rookies here. It's MuscleBound Gaming versus Arcana Judgement. I'm Corbeck, joined in the casting booth by Dividing with Blizzard and DeLuca handling our production side of things for today's matchup. And Dividing, it is a matchup indeed. You were telling me before I got started that there's a little bit of a history between these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. MuscleBound Gaming.
Might not have you on sound. Dividing, I think you're muted.
Fixed it.
It's okay. Get it out now. Get it out now. We're all good.
Yeah, but MuscleBound Gaming, I believe we actually casted this team together a couple weeks back against, I believe it was a team called Hanzo Behind, which ended up beating them in a fantastic 5-map series. But that is not the team that they're going to be facing in the grand finals today. Instead, it is going to be the number 3 seeded Arcana Judgement, who I haven't seen personally, but like you mentioned, there is history here. MuscleBound Gaming faced Arcana Judgement in Game 4 of the Swiss bracket, and in that game, MuscleBound Gaming came out 3-1. And then the teams met again in the winners' finals of the playoffs bracket. And then once again, MuscleBound Gaming came out on top in a 3-1 scoreline. So right now, I think Arcana Judgement is in a position where they're trying to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself again.
Well, certainly that's going to lend a little bit of a tinge to all of this, a little bit of a taint for that Arcana Judgement side. They'll have something to prove for sure here tonight. I have seen both these teams play, and they are very competent indeed on both sides. Of course, competency, no guarantee of victory, as anybody could probably tell you. But our first map of the day will be Busan, starting off on Control there, everybody's favorite Korean map, because it's the only Korean map. But it'll be interesting to see these two teams go at it, because Busan as a map, Dividing does offer some strategic variety. Will put these rookie division players through a little bit of a ringer down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Busan is a map where, honestly, you could get away with a bunch of different strategies. Obviously, there are maps like Mecha Base that are a little bit tighter and lower ceilings that favor more towards the brawl. But then you get into the other two, you get into the downtown, you get into Shrine, and there is so much flexibility that teams have when it comes to strategies for those sub maps. I'm really excited to see what MuscleBound Gaming and Arcana Judgement have put together here for this grand finals matchup. Everything on the line here, Corbeck, and I think even though both teams currently have Lijiang as their favorite control map, I'm glad we're starting it here.
Yeah, it's a good map to start on, and like you said, a lot on the line. Everybody wants to be a Get Good champion at the end of the day. Any amateur Overwatch player would crave a title like that, so you can imagine there's a certain hunger out there on the map as we do get started, and Mecha Base will be first. And you can see down there at the bottom the ELO range for this matchup, so wouldn't necessarily go into this one Dividing expecting a lot of hard meta play, probably a little bit more playing to the strengths of the individual teams, the things that they feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely, and I believe there are, in fact, ringers coming in for both teams today. I recognize Jaffner on MuscleBound Gaming, currently on the main support, not someone who's on the roster. I'd have to look up a little more from Arcana Judgement, but was told both teams currently have a ringer in today. So it'll be very interesting to see how those new players influence the dynamic of these teams.
Yeah, it always is interesting when people start bringing ringers to the party, right? It does change things up, and especially in the context of a grand finals matchup, we will see just how much of an impact those differences can have. JD got you here leading the charge up towards the elevator, a bit of a backup right there. The attempted push on the flank, no real success. A good wall coming up, and they will put the pressure on, but JD got you really struggling here on the front line. Both immortality fields already removed early on in the fight. You saw them come out, and you saw them immediately deleted. Still, no targets have been brought down yet. A sustained fight, but it'll be finally Anguish who strikes a quick succession of kills right here. And at the end of it all, Arcana Judgement possibly coming up just a bit better. Now pushing into the enemy. Baptiste trying to get him down, but again, trades across the board. Monarch the last one here to die, and he will finally go down, but neither side with a significant advantage. Arcana Judgement will drop and touch first.
Yeah, Titanic opts to go for the Doomfist to start off this map instead of the Mei. which is very high risk, high reward, and we saw it right there with Carson on the Mei. Had some beautiful walls during that first fight, and Arcana Judgement did a great job of playing around it.
Indeed they did, and the pressure coming on here, you saw the shatter thrown in almost immediately. Hazer up there fighting on the front line. Unfortunately, JD Gotchu will go down. Titanic getting 2 there on the Doomfist, and that window not helping either. Hazer will lose the mech, forced to use the Diva Bomb here to force the remech out. Spongy Cheese dying to his opposite number on the other side. That's Anguish on the McCree getting the kill, and now an Amplification Matrix comes down the other direction, but it's a great shatter to follow it up. Minimax trying to get in the midst of everything and get some kills. The team follows him in. It's the 2 support players who start to clean up, and the defense on the top deck is broken. 45% now on the clock. They will drop down and try and fight it out on the point. Minimax going down, but his supports keeping him up through all of that is Reaper Balls. There's Jaffner getting in on the action as well. Just the Mei here. Carson holding on. Does have the Blizzard in pocket, but it will do them no good as they are escorted off the edge of the map.
Yeah, and there we see why you choose the Doomfist. Titanic able to get 2 very quick kills to start off that fight. And while Arcana Judgement were able to hold on for a while, it was a the momentum was in MuscleBound Gaming's favor the entire time. However, Arcana Judgement are going to be coming in with several ultimates, including the Blizzard.
The Blizzard comes out, as does a bomb, an Amplification Matrix used there as well. Immortality Field coming down, the Sound Barrier coming out on the other side from Reverb to try and usher his team through most of that damage. You see the flash going high in the sky there from Spongy Cheese. You also hear a High Noon being used somewhere, but to no effect. Spongy Cheese does manage to get JD Gotchu down, and though the bullying starts, the Mei wall did come up. Unfortunately, I think that locked a couple of team members out right there, and they will just finish off this fight. Spongy Cheese there dividing, taking himself a little 3K in the midst of it all.
Yeah, the hit scan talents of Spongy Cheese, that's someone that I know very well, and I imagine he's having a very good time right now on this McCree.
Oh, Minimax gets pinned in by the freeze, throws the shatter, the counter shatter coming back out on the other side. Neither all really finding much success here. Speaking of Spongy Cheese, he's down to very low health indeed. Will back up and try and take some cover, gets murdered there on the outside edge. And now here comes Arcana Judgement passing the sentence, pushing forward onto the point. Not much left here for them to contest with. You see Kemi drop in. Kemi loses the mech, will get beaten down, and that should just about signal an end to this one.
Yeah, once again, the value of the Mei has been realized. Minimax pushes up very far forward, going for a shatter, but gets walled off, sectioned off, taken down. And now Arcana Judgement are going to be pushing up very aggressively on this.
High Noon comes out from Anguish right there, looking for an early pick, but doesn't find it. Instead, it's Minimax who does go down. The Mei wall coming up there just to try and filter out some of this damage, maybe trap JD Gotchu up front. Well, it succeeds in one of those things. The Reinhardt is still free here.
Yeah, now MuscleBound Gaming looking at probably last fight here. They have both support ultimates to work with, and unfortunately the wall from Titanic does not land, but the shatter does!
The shatter comes in big, but it's a great sound barrier to keep him in the fight. Still, Minimax is down, and a Blizzard is out here as well, and that's not good news for the members of MuscleBound Gaming. There's not a lot they can do to push back into this one, and the first stage of the first map here in the Grand Finals will go to Arcana Judgement.
Yeah, in the Battle of the Brawl variants, Mei comes out on top there, and, you know, it's not difficult to see why. We've all sung the praises of Mei as a character in these Brawl comps over and over and over again. That utility that you get from the freezes, from the Meis, it's always so good. As I think that was a bit of a replay from the... Sure there was a blizzard going off, which relates to my point that the freeze is the Mei walls. That utility is often more valuable than you get from pure damage on a character like Doomfist, which the Titanic was playing most of the time. Now Arcana Judgement is making a bit of a switch. They're going to go with this sort of brawl dive-ish variant. I've heard several names for it. MuscleBound Gaming is going to be staying pretty traditional here with the Rhine and the Sigma.
Monkey mech, I don't know what we want to call it here, but Carson playing up on the stage of Drum Jr. right there, just trying to get a couple of shots in towards the main choke. The Reaper damage coming in bigly on the front line, but is it enough to kind of counteract this maybe lack of frontline presence on the side of JD Gotchu? He continues to fire away. The tickle gun there, tickling. Unfortunately, no one tickled quite back into the spawn room just yet, as the first of those accretion rocks comes flying by. JD Gatsu trying to push up just a little bit more into the gut, jumps into the back line, continuing to put pressure on. Reinhardt in serious danger here, and Minimax will go down. The pressure just too much. Unfortunately, the trade coming in on JD Gatsu, but it will not be enough here, I think, to restabilize this fight in favor of MuscleBound Gaming.
Yeah, Arcana Judgement are playing this comp extremely well. It is a comp with Monkey D.Va, but they're really playing it more like a brawl. Monkey is playing more like a Reinhardt, using his jumps and bubbles to give his team space. And JD is doing a fantastic job at doing just that as he puts Carson and Anguish in positions to pop off here. MuscleBound Gaming, though, they're going to be coming in with the Gravitic Flux, with the Blizzard. I mean, they have so many tools here to try and take this back.
Amplification Matrix coming out. Carson immediately moves into a position where they can just put pressure on the back line. Monarch here jumping around like the proverbial jumping bean, but unfortunately it will not save him. Titanic drops onto the point just to keep the contest there, but unfortunately no one to back him up. Carson just sweeping the deck with the Reaper.
This is looking scary now for MuscleBound Gaming. The clear favorites heading into this. We get wholesale swaps now from them as they use the Blizzard, and it gets them nothing. This is 70% Korvek. I mean, at this point, this fight may as well just be the last fight in Arcana Judgement. Have 5 ultimates, everything except the Coalescence up. MuscleBound Gaming has nothing. They've got to do something drastic here to get this.
Walking into an ult storm of biblical proportions as well, as the High Noon will start things off. Following it up, the Death Blossom, that's Carson. He gets 3 right there. Oh, yes, 2 and a mech if you really want to count it that way, but he'll add 3 to it. Titanic going down, and, well, that will be the end of that, and it does look like, for all intents and purposes, Arcana Judgement will walk away with this first map in the series. That D.Va bomb there just sealing the deal at the end fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. MuscleBound Gaming just seemed kind of stumped by this brawl variant that Arcana Judgement brought out here on Shrine. They were consistently outplayed both by the space of the space creation of the Winston, and then the pure damage, close range damage of the McCree and Reaper combo that they brought out. And that means, with that, I don't know exactly the map orders, but Arcana Judgement getting the first map win here has got to bode well for their overall chances of breaking the 3-1 curse here.
Well, you bring it up right there, actually, Dividing. I feel like we would be remiss to not remind our viewers that this has happened before in terms of every time Arcana Judgement has gotten a map, one single map right off of them. And I swear I casted this matchup before, and I probably did, and it's completely like flown my mind. There's a lot boiling around up in there, but I think it was very similar like this. Arcana Judgement came out swinging on a Koth, and then it went a little bit downhill on some of the other ones, but I could be misremembering here. But I mean, you know, a lot of people will tell you, right, Dividing, that Koth is not the gold standard for how you should judge teams, right? Like it's much more just an in-your-face battle, right, than it is necessarily a game of strategy like some of these other maps can be. And sometimes we see a team that excels on Koth come into something like you know, Assault or whatever, and just not really show us a great performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've never seen this matchup before. But Arcana Judgement, what they do have on their side is they have those past maps that they can look back on and try to figure out where things went wrong. If it was like this before and they won the control map and dropped the 3 after that, how are MuscleBound Gaming getting the better of them? Of course, I know a lot of the players at MuscleBound Gaming. This is a very cerebral team. They are very good at coming up with strategies for maps and executing them well. So Arcana Judgement really needs to figure out a way to match that as we move forward to, I believe it's going to be a hybrid map next.
I do believe it is hybrid, yeah, but I don't think they've chosen just quite yet. So maybe those big strategic brains of theirs that you mentioned, Dividing, they're crunching away at this one, trying to figure it out, trying to determine what the next map will be.
It's going to be Eichenwald, actually.
Oh, well, Eichenwald, an interesting choice indeed there, and one that I think for a hybrid is not necessarily bad. It's hard to say, right? We haven't seen enough of kind of the compositions that you would want to run on Eichenwald, I think, coming out of these teams to pass Judgment here tonight. But what do you make of that on the initial brush?
Yeah, I mean, Eichenwald is a map where you can run a lot of really goofy things. You can see a lot of Pharah being run here. You see a lot of different kinds of like bunker cons. Of course, brawl cons, rush cons are also viable on several portions of this map. Dive gets played quite a bit on the second phase where there's a lot of high ground to take advantage of. This is, I think, MuscleBound Gaming saying, okay, we seed the brawl 1v1 here on Lijiang. We think, though, that we can out-comp rotate you on a map like Eichenwald, where we see teams making swaps all over the place.
It's true indeed, and you can see Arcana Judgment swapping sides there for what it's worth. It's not a big deal on Control, but it is a little bit of something to take note of over here on Hybrid. I do believe this means MuscleBound Gaming will be on the attacking side to lead things off. So an opportunity for them to come out and sort of set their place, right? You put your stake down and you know where you have to defend. It's an eternal debate here in Overwatch, whether you really like to attack first or defend first. Teams have that kind of, struggle where they must figure it out. But at least here, I don't think the choice is very much in MuscleBound Gaming's hands. So definitely something that's going to put a little bit of pressure on them here, because running head first into a defense of a team that just came off of a map win can sometimes put you in a bit of a morale deficit.
Yeah, absolutely. MuscleBound Gaming might have been in this position before, but got to figure out a way to turn things around. Now, down 1-0, the pressure could not be higher right now. Of course, this is Grand Finals, the title on the line as we now move into Eichenwald. I mean, this is first to three, just like any other game. So if MuscleBound Gaming ends up down 2-0 early, like that could be brutal for them to try and dig out of that hole.
Yeah, it's certainly not a position any team would want to be in, but being put down early on, having to really fight your way back into this one, the reverse sweep territory. I mean, that's what legends are made out of, but not everybody necessarily needs to be a legend in that regard. You'll see the composition coming out here from Arcana Judgment. Pretty standard stuff, going back to that McCree setup there with Hazer coming in on the D.Va. Meanwhile, on the side of MuscleBound Gaming, Titanic showing us a Pharah in an age of Echo. It's interesting to see a Pharah getting brought out here.
Yeah, I mean, the Titanic Pharah is a hero that I've seen several times at this point. Definitely an extremely good comfort pick for him. But he will be playing into the Anguish McCree, which got a lot of value in the last match, so definitely got to be playing cautiously or else they will take off his head. Jafter will be there on support on the Mercy, so not necessarily the end of the world here for Titanic. Has some room to work with because of that support.
Well, the air support coming in early on. You see those rockets going out. Anguish attempting to take the duel early on, but some good play around the tower up there in the skies from Titanic. Just continue to put spam damage in. Hazer also trying to engage early on. Nico Slayer in perilous straits right there. Forced back into a corner as this Maywall does come up. The pressure on. Minimax beat down on the front line. Great play by JD Gotchu to wrap up Spongy Cheese as well. The Fire Strike coming in bigly right there, and they will throw them right back towards their spawn doors.
Yeah, Titanic isn't being allowed to take the space and do the poke damage that he wants. I mean, already 80% of the way to a barrage, so definitely putting in damage, but not necessarily being able to finish those picks. And because of that, Arcana Judgment are actually doing a very good job of being able to rebuff these attacks so far. But now we have the barrage.
Well, the barrage does come in long-ish angles. Reverb will go down. Titanic does die for it, but it's not a bad play at all. It's opened things wide up here. The pressure coming forward immediately. Spongy Cheese in the midst of the action. A desperation. Blizzard coming out right there, and that will be the last of the kills finished off. So a sudden flurry of action will secure victory on this first point of Eichenwald.
Yeah, the barrage from Titanic got aggressive like you want to in those situations. Got to pick maybe even like 1.5 before he got traded out, and that's what you want to see out of your barrage, because you are You are standing still, shouting very loud, saying, please come kill me. So, as long as you can get a pick or two, yeah, it puts your team in a good position, and MuscleBound Gaming were able to go off that. Now look at this rotation coming out from Arcana Judgement. They're going to try and come in from the back.
They are reversing all the way around here, coming back towards onto the point, and this is always a bit of a dangerous place to be to start things off. JD got you. Now having flipped spawns, basically, trying to hold this card here, and at some point in time, MuscleBound Gaming is going to have to make a choice to come back and take this fight, which is exactly what Arcana Judgement wants them to do. And there's the engage, the shatter coming in. It's a big shatter. The follow-up pushing forward here. The high noon trying to slow it down just a little bit, but no value coming out of that on the side of Spongy Cheese. Now the pressure really coming on. The Diva Bomb dropped to the back line. Diva Bomb going in on both sides, but at the end of the day, it's MuscleBound Gaming who's winning it out right here. So they start off disadvantaged, but they will not stay that way, Divine. Unfortunately, I think Dividing has had to step away for just a second. Hopefully everything's okay over on his end, but we will continue with the matchup as it stands. Titanic here playing up on the high ground, raining those rockets down from on high. The proverbial justice being delivered right there. Unfortunately, no one quite succumbing to the sentence of death at that moment. There is one coming back, but it's Carson returning fire, and now it's a brutal amplification matrix-based fight on the high ground. Spongy Cheese just trying to get someone down. The barrage does come in. All it gets is immortality field, but it maybe opens enough room here for the DPS to start cooking, and Titanic will get one. Spongy Cheese gets another. They continue to put the pressure on over the top. Spongy Cheese still alive, using this high noon at point-blank circumstances, and he'll take a Diva back, because why wouldn't he at this point in time? The advantage in numbers still slightly in favor of MuscleBound Gaming as they will continue to push forward and secure that fight win. I do believe Dividing is back. Hopefully he is unmuted, though. Huh? No, unfortunately, I don't think he is. So we will continue going right here, at least temporarily. Big plays coming out early on right there. Spongy Cheese getting two off the rip. Demi gets another one. JD got you, gets a rather petulant revenge kill there on the Spongy Cheese, but it's too late. The damage is done. The gate is battered down, and the doors are open to the castle. The defenders have something to answer for here as well, because
okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Good for the attack, and there is Dividing. He has returned to us from the land beyond.
I have returned from the void. I apologize, but it seems like MuscleBound Gaming got through Street's phase without much of an issue, as now they're pushing forward super far to the second corner.
You are correct, and the shatter coming out there from the other direction might slow him down just a little bit. Minimax gets pummeled into a wall by his opposite number. Now Titanic playing up here, around and down, grabs the health back, but this is a bit of a dangerous position for a fire to be in. Coming up front allows for the res. A beautiful bit of play right there as the Diva Bomb comes sailing over. Kill team traded back and forth on both sides. Minimax out of nowhere with the fire strike, and then the shatter to push it all home. What a play by the main tank.
Minimax absolutely carrying that fight. They were going even up to that point, in which case the Spawn demand should be in favor of Arcana Judgement, but Minimax out of nowhere with the carry plays has put MuscleBound Gaming in the position to finish this map here, but the stagger's still coming through. Oh my god!
Spongy Cheese, that's filthy, my man. Some beautiful play coming out right there from the hit scan player. Does that say Spongy Cheese or Pine? I can't quite read it at this distance. He continues to go. He'll get another one on the total. The flashbang perfectly there. Two onto Reverb to shut him down. The Diva Bomb just sailing in over the top. A desperation tack visor from the top rope, and to end it all, Kemi drops a mech on top of Anguish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was just some insane individual plays there at the end. I mean, MuscleBound Gaming, you have to wonder where this was during Busan, because, man, Minimax, Spongy Cheese, Titanic, Monarch, they're all popping off right now. And, I mean, when you're facing a team like MuscleBound Gaming that's getting hot at just the right time, it's so difficult to slow that momentum if you're Arcana Judgement. So, I mean, over 2 minutes on the clock here for MuscleBound, a very, very good time on Eichenwald, and it is up to them to respond.
It's interesting that you say that about warming up, because you can almost feel it going forward like a kettle boiling slowly but surely. They just kind of built up, and suddenly things were just falling into place. And, well, it kind of maybe lends itself a little bit to what I was thinking about when we were in between maps, right, which is that Arcana Judgment kind of will steal one, but can they continue to take more off of them? And it looks a bit rough for them right now. Still, they're going to bring a Pharah of their own. Other than that, pretty much the same across the board there in terms of the heroes they will be running. Yeah. On the other side, very similar, basically a mirror comp matchup. All things considered, I do feel dividing that MuscleBound might have just a slight advantage in these comps, but we have yet to really see what Carson Pharah looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the Titanic Pharah was insane. It's always been insane. Now Carson's coming out with a Pharah of his own, so, you know, this air battle between these two for Mercies is going to be huge, and Titanic comes up ahead early. Oh no, and that was not a great Guardian Angel from Reverb. That is just going to be, okay, back to spawn time for Arcana Judgment.
Well, call him the Red Bear in the Skies belong to Titanic on the red team right now, and he is just shutting him down. He's not even going to let the Baptiste escape, and he will finally stop his bloodlust. It is sated, at least momentarily, as he backs up right here. It looks like an engage will be coming on. Nico Slayer popping early on the amplification matrix. That is forcing the defenders back into a pretty tight position. It also forces out the immortality field. They are playing tight on the corner of the tower, though, not giving up too much ground as an amplification matrix comes out on the other side. Trying their best to play around it, but it is a little awkwardly placed. Still, Titanic is in the general area, raining those rockets down, and the attack is stalling here, for lack of a better word. The Shatter coming out, 2 early kills flying in. The barrage comes out on the other side, but it is handled. Dealt with by the side of Arcana Judgment. They will not be slowed down by that at all, and now the pressure really on the High Noon coming from the back as well. No joy off of Anguish's High Noon. The immortality field was there to stop it, but they barely needed Anguish. He's going to go in with regular gun and do the cleanup work.
Yeah, MuscleBound Gaming losing that fight there. If you're a Pharah in these comps, your goal is to get a pick before the ground fight sort of clears up. See, because now that Carson and Reverb are back onto the normal Brawl heroes, it really is a 4v6 on the ground. And if Arcana Judgment can win those fights before Titanic has the chance to make value, I mean, they're just going to win every time. So I actually really like the swaps here from Arcana Judgment, and hopefully this trend will continue, because if not, I mean, they will not be able to match the time. Also found lots of ults coming up this fight.
Amplification Matrix in, Blizzard here as well, High Noon at point blank range. Titanic who strikes, Kevin gets one here as well. Hazer managing to trade it back out. JD got you. Is in action on deck 2. Hazer continuing to put pressure on, trying to deny the res, but Spongy Cheese is back in action, spongier than ever, but Titanic raining deaths from above, continuing to make the big plays on the Pharah. Diva Bomb thrown there at the tail end will get nothing. 2 isolated attackers on the point right now. It's just an academic matter of shutting them down, and we won't pretend that JD didn't mean to just sail off the edge of the map. That's what happened. He meant it.
JD does not have anyone right now, least of all himself. It just goes ahead and goes for a bit of a tactical reset, is what I'll call it. So now, Arcana Judgment brought back to spawn, but got quite a bit of movement on the payload before they did so. Titanic is raining down shots, still has the barrage for this next fight, but Anguish has the death, sorry, not the death boss, the High Noon, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to use it on this far, but look at this early!
Oh, the barrage coming out early on, but it's pretty much eaten completely. Still, they're doing a pretty good job of herding them back into an unfavorable position right here. The team is even split up as Reverb does die, and they got them trapped on the staircase now, and kind of like the Tonkin steps from an old Russian film, they'll just slowly pick away at what's left of the defenders right here. We'll see what they can get out of that. Carson is down. There goes JD. Got you. Anguish falling as Monarch gets a triple. The Baptiste getting the frags right there when it was needed at the tail end of that fight.
Reverb dies at the beginning of the fight with beat up, and instead of like trying to make a soft reset, dying, knowing that without that beat you likely won't have the sustain, Arcana Judgment decide they're gonna go all in and use every other ult that they have, and that just feels like a misplay to me, because now we see MuscleBound Gaming. They didn't use very many ults that fight. They were gonna have 8. Titanic has another barrage, and gosh, they just don't have much to deal with this onslaught that MuscleBound Gaming route. They give
Oh, Titanic with 4! The Shatter coming in as well. The minute the shield was swapped, there was just nothing they can do, and now the bullying of the Baby Diva begins. A sad epilogue to that really brutal fight.
Yeah, and that was some very nice ult rotations from MuscleBound Gaming. They used the barrage, they used the shatter, knew they didn't have to use any more, so are going to keep the rest of their ults for this next fight. And Kemi getting Anguish at the end here. That's going to delay this fight by another 10 seconds or so. Carson is now swapped onto a soldier to try and counter this Pharah from Titanic. And I mean, this is just
counter him. The uncounterable dividing.
He is uncounterable. You can slow Titanic down, but you cannot stop him when he's on this Pharah.
Absolutely mythical right there, but it'll be Spongy Cheese who gets the early pick on an Eco Slayer. That might make things a little ugly. Carson does kill him. That's a caster curse if ever I saw one, but it's okay. Kemi gets the Diva Bomb over the top to get a kill, and now it'll be a pressure going forward. Hazer, the last one left alive, just one more time as that last-minute res comes in there as well to return Titanic to the air and to devastation.
Indeed, and Arcana Judgement are just throwing everything they can at the wall right now, trying to break this setup that MuscleBound Gaming has. But it's just not happening right now. They're doing so much with these fights that they continue to build up ultimates, and because of that, Arcana Judgement seems to never have an ultimate advantage here. Titanic's gonna have another barrage. It's like his third one in 4 minutes.
The amplification matrix there at the top of the stairs really shutting down any push right there. They'll need some sort of Stairmaster to turn that one around, but it will not be Carson. He is caught out by Titanic's rocket. Now the amplification matrix coming the other way, and you can see what Titanic is thinking right there, trying to drop in behind and get the barrage off. Unfortunately, some ideas are better in your head than in execution. Still, the team will win here. The threat was enough to eat up some resources and allow the opportunity for MuscleBound Gaming to just push forward. The last desperate contest coming out of Reverb, and it will not be enough, and that should be the end right here. No, I say that. There is one more support player to touch. Eco Slayer tries to make amends with that last-minute rush in, but it will not do. Arcana Judgement loses to MuscleBound Gaming on Eichenwald.
Yeah, I mean, they just couldn't figure out how to deal with Titanic, and when it seemed like they were putting in so many resources to deal with them, then Spongy Cheese would pop off, or Minimax would pop off. There's so many threats on this team that you have to be worrying about constantly. And a second that you get tunnel visioned on one, you're going to get destroyed by 3 other members of this team. That's what makes MuscleBound Gaming so scary. Every single one of them has carry potential.
Oh, very true. And, you know, it's fascinating. It was a complete reversal of what we saw last time coming back in this direction. Suddenly, MuscleBound Gaming just looked like the team to beat. Arcana Judgement not really kind of in the same area dividing. Like you said, they were just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticked. It was such a reversal from what we saw on Busan. I'm still kind of trying to process it just a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Pharah pick, I mean, they seem sort of decent at times on their defense, but when it came to the attack, they just kept running into a brick wall, and that brick wall's name was Titanic on the Pharah, and they could not figure out how to deal with it. It just became an unstoppable force, unfortunately, for Arcana Judgement. So now the map selection goes back to them. So I think they are going to be thinking about what maps they can choose here to try and mitigate that threat as much as possible.
Well, we will see the results of that rumination, but first, we're going to take a little break here. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more action in this GitGud Rookie Grand Final coming up right here.
See you in a bit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Yellow Hill GitGud Season 7. It's the Rookie Grand Finals. Here I am, Corbeck, joined by Dividing Arcana Judgement, losing out to MuscleBound Gaming on our last map, but they are persevering, pushing forward. And where will we be going next here in our map pool, Dividing?
We will be going to Junkertown, which is a very interesting pick that Arcana Judgement made here. Junkertown actually listed as the favorite escort map for both Arcana Judgement and MuscleBound Gaming. Both of them seem to be very comfortable on the sniper compositions that we tend to see on on this map. Interestingly as well, we do have a sub coming in for Arcana Judgement, where Watercliff is going to be coming in place of Reverb on the main support position. Now, on their team sheet, Watercliff is listed as the Brigitte player, while Reverb is listed as the Lucio. So, seems like with this map swap, Arcana Judgement are likely going to be looking to play some slower strategies here, which is generally what you see on Junkertown with all the long sight lines that it offers.
Right, a very sniper-oriented map. I do know for a fact, though, I think Watercliff can play Lucio if it is required, right? It just he is the designated sort of Brigitte player when they need that. So that does provide a bit of an interesting change-up in the lineup, and we'll see how much of a difference that might make going into Junkertown, the long escort, right? These winding streets when you're in the interior, but outside, it's all long sight lines and danger out there. If you're a support player, at least, I know I've always got to be ducking around corners, trying to avoid getting my head taken off at every other turn. At least that's what it feels like.
This is a Zenyatta's worst nightmare, I will say. Luckily, though, we do not see a Zenyatta in the initial picks. Arcana Judgement starting on the defense here, and oh wait, no, that's actually MuscleBound Gaming. There was a swap. So that's MuscleBound Gaming on the right there in the blue, and Arcana Judgment's on the left. So Arcana Judgement is starting on the attack. There it is. Still figuring some things out. MuscleBound Gaming, though, going with a very traditional brawl comp. With the Reaper McCree, they're going super close range, and look at this hold they're going to try and pull off here, Corbeck. Is Arcana Judgement expecting this?
Well, the aggressive hold is always a bit of an option here on Junkertown. If you choose to use it, they'll go right in. It looks like it was sussed out, at least initially. The dive coming in, trying to split him off, and Spongy Cheese will go down. Carson traded out immediately, though. Titanic not giving him much room to play with. The hack coming in onto Titanic. He doesn't care, though. He's a Reaper. He just keeps firing as long as he's got team members around him and a little bit of protection in front of him. Those shotguns will not stop shotting. And now he continues to push forward here. He is forced to back up just a little bit. The rest of the team retreating through that small hut there and just holding up tight. The initial read on this fight, not the worst, not the best. They will get another kill here. Watercliff going down in the midst of all of that. Now Kevin getting in on the action as well. So it does look like, at least temporarily, it sort of paid off initially. Still a bit of a gamble there, Dividing. Probably wanted that to be a little bit more successful than it was.
Yeah, Arcana Judgement got a little bit overzealous there, I think. They got an early pickoff onto Spongy Cheese, and they were able to use that to... Oh, man, I gotta let you take over, because this is just never-ending.
Oh, it's all good. I mean, the Coalescence coming out right there. The attempt was made with the Shatter to shut it down. It got plenty of targets, but half of them were protected by that spawn door. And now Titanic's just gonna let it rip with the Death Blossom in the back line. Unfortunately, Kemi sealing a little bit of the finder right there by dropping him back on somebody's head. A Diva Bomb coming out here as well, and Carson will push the cart forward as Jaffner goes down. A hack coming into Kemi there. The mech can do nothing for him in that circumstance as Carson gets another one. Titanic taken down, and they'll just push straight forward here, and the defense breaking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, finally, right? MuscleBound Gaming, the spawn advantage is so against them. They're literally fighting right outside of Arcana Judgment's spawn, yet they were able to waste pretty much a minute and a half of their time for freeze. And now JD's gone already.
Oh, Spongy Cheese gets two big picks. He got JD got you right there at the start, and then added another one in the form of Nico Slayer off the high noon. But by the crooking of my thumbs, Dividing, I do think something Sombra this way comes. That EMP just lurking in the wings.
Yeah, and MuscleBound Gaming has to know that it's coming. So, yeah, I think that's why you see them playing a little more passively here. They're actually letting Arcana Judgement leave spawn this time, and I think that's because they want to make sure that Jaffner is available for this beat, which he does beautifully.
Oh, Jaffner saves the day, exactly what you would want your Lucio player to do. Sails in, gets the sound barrier off, and keeps the team alive. Carson now trying to push forward into the gut of things. Those shotguns are not ceasing in their constant fire, and he goes and picks up the health pack really quick. The Sombra hack beneficial right there, and now Carson's sailing in on the backside with a little bit of protection from the sound barrier, but he finds himself alone, adrift in a sea of enemies. Still, The Coalescence powering forward on the back of the Primal Rage. Titanic, the one who has to duck and cover right there. The health pack unhacked, at least momentarily, as Jaffner does go down. Kemi now trying to hold this frontline position, just applying pressure directly to JD Gachu's forehead. The Amplification Matrix comes in. Minimax backs up. The Amplification Matrix not delivering hugely. The enemy team will push past it. Arcana Judgement not giving him a lot of room to play with. The bomb will shift that quickly. Still, the kills going in Arcana's favor. An attempt by Spongy Cheese from the high ground on the high noon will not be successful. And these two teams just right up in each other's faces, continuing to brawl this one out. Spongy Cheese will go down, and that should clear the runway, at least temporarily, to get to these doors.
Are MuscleBound Gaming really going to try and contest this again? I think they are. Honestly, the goal here is just to waste as much time as humanly possible, it seems, and it's working so well. They're going to get down to overtime here.
Minimax throws that shatter in point blank. Now Titanic investing the Death Blossom too. Forced to disappear there for just a second. A little bit of a Houdini trick. Comes back in. No kills coming out from it. But there's Bomb and Beat forced out here on this doorway fight. And still, members of MuscleBound Gaming are trying to keep the dream alive. Kemi, the last defender right there, will lose the mech and lose their life. And finally, the gates of Junkertown will open.
This feels very strange, Corbeck. I mean, this is Junkertown we're talking about right now, yet both teams are playing this super up-close brawl comp, which is just so unorthodox for the map we're playing. But, to credit for MuscleBound Gaming, it's working super well for them, because they're just trying to contest and fight as many times as humanly possible, and trying to waste as much of Arcana Judgment's time as they can. And, I mean, they got the second point, but they pretty much got to overtime while doing so. So, I can't fault them for that. You're pretty happy if you're MuscleBound Gaming right now.
Well, holding that tight little hallway there for a second was a little scary, and the vivid flashing of colors so akin to Overwatch. Spongy Cheese just drops down to the back line, gets one with the flash fan, gets another one because Watercliffe is dead. The Coalescence coming in, but there's an ice wall thrown up. Spongy Cheese tries to rotate around it, but no. The members of Arcana Judgment are wise to such plays, and they will hit him down. Carson credited with the kill right there, and that's a beautiful charge. Catches Titanic on the back, had no idea it was coming, much like an iceberg. Oh, I can't even believe I just made that joke. Dividing still, the fight wrapping up here. Minimax the only one left. I say that Kemi's gonna stall it out, but we know this one's pretty much over.
Yeah, Arcana Judgment should be able to get through Street's face pretty quickly, which is very good considering how slow the first point was. Now we move into third point with 2.5 minutes left on the clock. And honestly, there are a lot of ultimates coming up soon. However, Arcana Judgment, a little while ago, swapped over to the Mei. Carson's Mei gave this team a lot of value back on Busan. So they're probably betting on it again since they find themselves in this sort of brawl-be-brawl situation. As long as they can play around the Mei, play around the Blizzard that Carson has, trying to pick up Jaffner before the beat comes out, they might be in pretty good shape.
Kemi sends that bomb sailing over. It's a great wall coming out right there to block most of the damage, but you can't block Spongy Cheese to the face right there with the fan hammer. And you'll see Titanic trying to get a couple of kills here as well. Drops in, looks potentially for the Death Blossom, phases out for just a second, still has it in the pocket. Will continue to try and do the work with the shotgun, but the bomb coming up and over, and Titanic can do nothing but watch as Hazer clears the point, and Kemi, the last defender, was beat down.
Jaffner died mid-beat that fight. Did not get the animation off in time before he got picked, and that was the moment where I saw the momentum shift in favor of Arcana Judgment. And MuscleBound Gaming used so many ultimates in that fight. Things looking a lot more even as they near the end of the round.
Well, the flash coming out there early on. Titanic will make note of that. Jumps up to the high ground, looks for the Death Blossom, comes sailing in. That forces the beat out. It's Carson early on getting on Spongy Cheese. Now the Coalescent coming out, and well, this is not looking particularly great for MuscleBound Gaming. They've got to find the strength to push this one through. Kemi still in the general area, still trying to fight, and Anguish is now pushed up here as well. The 6-shooter going off in rapid clip, trying to take the Diva out of mech. There's a desperate attempt by Spongy Cheese again to get a high noon off to try and salvage the situation, but it is not forthcoming. Now, just into stall territory, Minimax comes in for the touch. They will keep going. The high noon coming out in the opposite direction, but it will find no joy. Minimax does go down. The contest still here, though, because it's Titanic sailing back in on the Doomfist, and now it's Spongy Cheese touching on the Tracer. Shouldn't be anyone left in the area, though, and they will finish with 20 seconds left on the clock.
I mean, Arcana Judgment looked really strong there after they got past point A. I think once they got a little bit of momentum going, I mean, these Brawl Rush comms always feel so momentum-based, and when a team gets rolling, it's so difficult to stop them. I'm wondering if or when a team is going to take the bait and switch to a more double shield snipery type comp. Because, you know, that is what we see more often on Junkertown, but obviously both teams seem comfortable and willing to just run Brawl anywhere at any time. Of course, Arcana Judgment able to finish the map. It is now up to MuscleBound Gaming to match that achievement. And MuscleBound, if they stick on this, are going with something very different this time around.
They are indeed, and Arcana Judgment did a good job to get through this, really putting the pressure back on MuscleBound Gaming now. As Clausewitz once said, it's easier to preserve than it is to acquire. And it will be MuscleBound Gaming who will have to do the acquisitions here, showing us, though, a double sniper comp to do exactly that. And they are, what was it, falling into the bait, the trap? I don't remember exactly how you described it, but they are falling in.
Yeah, and
take the bait.
As long as MuscleBound Gaming can keep distance, they will have the advantage here. But it doesn't seem like Arcana Judgment wants to let that happen. We're getting a repeat here. Here comes the close hold again.
But here comes Titanic on a Bastion to try and spoil the party just a little bit. They're actually going to teleport him straight out. He's going to get up on top of the shop and start firing in. The Maywall's not going to stop that hail of lead from up on the top deck. The Gatling gun goes brrr, and they will break this wide open. So MuscleBound Gaming knows exactly how to take their own medicine and spit it right back out in Arcana Judgment's face.
Was this planned? Like, did MuscleBound Gaming play Brawl at the beginning, go for a close hold to make it more likely that Arcana Judgment would try the same thing, so then they could do this Symmetra Bastion thing to break it open? Because if so, if that was all premeditated, that is just 10,000 IQ from MuscleBound Gaming right now, as now the Bastion is set up on the cart and it's going to make the lives of Arcana Judgment just so difficult.
Well, it's an old strategy, but it sort of works out. Death will come for Titanic eventually. No one lives forever, much less the robotic gunman. But unfortunate, Spongy Cheese is also in a bit of danger here. Does manage to fall into a little bit of protective cover and get some healing. And Titanic, well, he's returned to life because Mercy, she laughs in the face of God, much like they've laughed in the face of this defense so far. The Junkertown gate right in their sights here, and you see that Symmetra beam just hooking right there as a Grimmitic Flux comes sailing in from Kemi. Set him up and knock him down. It's a target shoot for Titanic and the rest of the crew on the side of MuscleBound Gaming.
And you see how Arcana Judgment has had to swap pretty much everything to try and deal with this Bastion comp. Pretty much the only heroes who have been out here the whole time are the McCree of Anguish and the Baptiste of Nico Slayer, and because of that, none of their players, except for those two, have ultimates even close right now. Meanwhile, you have MuscleBound Gaming, who are going to have the tank mode, the Symmetra wall, the bongo, and the Valk as well. I mean, all of those ultimates can be helped to power up Titanic in a way, which I think is what you got to do with these comps.
Well, Titanic taking some hits here, but that's okay. He's still got room to play with. They're going to throw down the Symmetra barrier here as well, and they'll just continue to escort this card forward. Kemi providing kind of the sharp point of the spear right there and gets absolutely wasted for his troubles, but that's okay. Titanic is back on the fire, and they'll put out the damage bongos as well, because why not get that amplification matrix down in the midst of all of this too? It's okay. Titanic's got tank mode coming in on the back end here to really spoil that ultimate. A desperate play there by Carson will clean up Titanic, but I mean desperate. Carson trying to touch again, and MuscleBound Gaming are just flexing right here on the Streets phase.
Flexing indeed. They are flexing the power of the Bastion, and Arcana Judgment are letting it happen. You saw, I mean, MuscleBound Gaming pretty much completed second point in one fight. It's because Arcana Judgment are so scared of taking the fight to the Bastion that they're just giving up so much space. Luckily, though, MuscleBound Gaming did use most of their ult bank to to get through point B that quickly, and now Arcana Judgement do have the tools to try and dislodge this Bastion.
Oh, Monarch will die. Kemi gets the kill onto Anguish at the same time, but still, you've lost the Baptiste now, and that's going to make things incredibly more difficult. The whole hog coming in here on the backside from JD Gachu will result in his death. Carson trying to clean up, but it's Spongy Cheese in the midst of everything, cooking away with the beam, just trying to secure a couple of kills, but it looks like Spongy Cheese might be the lone defender here. Gets out of the danger zone and falls back towards his team, and they will reset.
Yep. Finally, Titanic is dislodged, and it could not come any sooner. They're going to stay on the Bastion, though, because, I mean, you might as well. Anguish gets a nice hack off, but unfortunately isn't really going to amount to much. MuscleBound Gaming coming up. They have so many ultimates, and they're going to pop them all right here.
The Gravitic comes up early from Hazer. He will get one, but Titanic is set up in this position. Great coverage around the top deck here for the Bastion. He's just firing at multiple angles right now. He'll get Carson. Hazer's still in the area, though. Hazer on the Sigma doing great work here, suppressing Titanic's ability to get kills. It's a good hook coming out right there, and the off-tank play really salvaging some of this situation for MuscleBound Gaming, and it looks like Bastion might have finally reached the end of the line.
Yeah, I think MuscleBound Gaming is finally going to have to swap off the Bastion comp, and that is exactly what they do. Titanic's going to move over to the Ash, Spongy Cheese to the Hanzo, and we've got ourselves a sniper comp here from MuscleBound. Arcana Judgement, though, is going to be sticking on to the Sombra, at least for the moment. Very good at countering the Bastion. Not sure if it'll be quite as effective into this comp, though.
Well, they will build up slowly, just try and get a good position here to get things started. Monarch res back in, and now it's Kemi in serious trouble. A great hook by JD Gachu brings Kemi down to earth and takes him back to the spawn room. JD Gachu adds another one to the total as Titanic tries to fight out of this on the low ground with the Ash, just slowly building up to the bomb. Forced to fall back just a little bit here, trying to cover for Minimax on the Orisa. Minimax retreating, showing heals there in the face of that aggression.
Yeah, I haven't pointed it out too much, but JD Gachu's hook accuracy has got to be something like 50%. Like, every fight this dude is getting off a big hook to completely get rid of the momentum of MuscleBound Gaming's pushes. And look at this. They've swapped absolutely everything to go onto this dive comp. I mean, they have no ultimates here. Arcana Judgement are going to have all 6. They've got to just go in for a dry fight and try and get this done as soon as possible.
Well, the drive fight might actually be working here because Arcana Judgement has made significant investments into this. The whole hog coming out there from JD Gachu, surprisingly effective. That hack coming in on the Diva player, just getting bullied right there. Kemi will finally go down and reset. Still, they made good work of that in terms of getting some of those ults out, but 2 very valuable ones still on the board here.
Yeah, the Transcendence and the Gravitic Flux, as well as the Dragon Strike coming in. The Gravitic Flux Dragon Strike is, of course, a pretty tried-and-true combo, only slightly less effective than the Grab Dragons.
Well, there is the Dragons early on, but a little bit disappointing in terms of its actual killing effectiveness. It does look like another dry push here from MuscleBound, just trying to bait more of these out. Watercliff died early, though. So the Transcendence does remain in the pool. Now 60 seconds left on the clock, and MuscleBound Gaming stalling out here.
Oh, Jaffner. Oh, that's so bad. Staggering Jaffner out like that. Now, I mean, MuscleBound Gaming, they're in last fight territory, and unfortunately, they were able to force out a lot of ultimates from Arcana, but they weren't really able to build up many ults of their own. They pretty much have the Pulse Bomb, and that's it, and Watercliff has to transfer that, so they have to finish the map right here, and it's looking doubtful with the ult bank they have.
It is looking a bit doubtful indeed. The Pulse Bomb coming out there takes Nico Slayer's Immortality Field away. Titanic has hit the EMP, though his health is very low. Got to set up and really make something happen with it. Translocator not there. EMP has to come out now, and it does, and it's big. 4 members of the enemy team caught out by that. A Coalescence coming in here as well. The Primal Rage just juggling him around. Is Minimax trying to confirm the last of these kills. The whole hog comes in. That will be Minimax down and out, but JD Gachu, last one left standing. Do they have the bodies to make it work, though? You see the Dragons sidling on across the point. Anguish has an EMP in the pocket as well. He'll pop it early on, but it won't be enough. They will continue to fight as Anguish does go down. Now Carson trying to jump back in, just looking for one opportunistic pick. Will get brought down. It looks as though MuscleBound Gaming might be able to complete by the absolute toenails right here. They're still in it, still fighting. They will get JD got you out of it. A good Gravitic coming in there. That should be Titanic done and dusted. No, Titanic will survive. Forced to translocate in the middle of everything. Out comes the sound barrier. A little too late for the Gravitic Flux, but enough to keep them going. There's still contest dropping in here. Watercliff throws their body on. You'll see Carson jump in as well, but that's it. Done, dusted. MuscleBound Gaming will complete.
They will complete indeed. That last fight, Arcana Judgement played super passively. They didn't take the fight to MuscleBound Gaming like I was expecting them to. If I had to make a guess, I think that they might have thought that Titanic was already at his EMP, but he wasn't yet. And unfortunately, that if that's true, that is a bit of a miscalculation there from Arcana Judgement, because they were able to go in quickly and get advantage in the fight fast. We could be seeing a 2-1 lead for Arcana Judgement right now. But instead, they played back, let Titanic build up to the EMP, and now we're in this situation where both teams only have a 20-second difference in extra innings.
That 20 seconds could make all the difference, though, here, and it does maybe bode a little bit ill for MuscleBound Gaming in the sense that I don't think they can repeat that trick with the Bastion again. So they will have to come out here with the double snipers dividing, whether they like it or not. They're showing us the shield here as well, going into a composition that honestly looks tailor-made to try and stop a Bastion. So we'll see if Arcana Judgement guessed right on this defensive setup.
Yeah, absolutely. As now the team's getting ready to go up. Seems like the close hold shenanigans are done for now. MuscleBound Gaming is going to go with the more traditional double sniper comp. Arcana Judgment is going to stick onto the Sombra for now. We'll see if that ends up paying dividends. Lots of eyes will be on Anguish here, and how he performs will say a lot for how this minute goes.
Spongy Cheese gets hacked early. Anguish is forced to translocate. Titanic with a relatively good idea of where the Sombra has gone. You said that Dynamite sailing over the top. It will connect. JD got you caught early on the flank and brought down. Should allow them to keep this push going just a little bit longer. MuscleBound Gaming continuing to press the corner. Spongy Cheese jumping up to the high ground, dueling Carson. Beautiful shot to the dome. Carson is down. The arrow finds its mark, and they will continue to push apace. The defender's just backing up and trying to reset here.
Yeah, and I see Anguish only at 30% of the way to EMP, just not being able to get in the back and get the pressure there that he wants. And because of that, Sponge Cheese and Titanic are applying so much more pressure on these sniper angles that they have right now. Sponge Cheese already 75% of the way to a Dragon Strike, as now we enter overtime, but Arcana Judgment don't really have many tools available to them in order to try and dislodge MuscleBound Gaming from this cart.
Well, step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road, and that's exactly what MuscleBound Gaming are doing here. But JD got you trying to be a roadblock, drops into the middle of everything with the slam, still not doing enough damage to really guarantee a kill. Trapped in the back line now, still has plenty of health to work with, just being an absolute nuisance, keeping the MuscleBound Gaming team divided in there. The Dragons come sailing up onto the top deck, but no joy to be found from them. A brutal fight here in the early stages of this Junkertown Streets phase as Spongy Cheese gets Watercliff. Unfortunately, the Dragons come sailing back. It will be Monarchy who succumbs, but the team continuing to fight well without him. The kills are coming back in, and Monarch, he's brought back up. Long live the king. They will continue to push forward straight on. Anguish is caught looking by Titanic, and a beautiful fight win there at the tail end.
Yeah, MuscleBound Gaming now pushing towards the end of point B. I don't know if Arcana Judgment's going to be able to contest it before they take it. And now this is getting really scary for Arcana Judgment. This is a very good overtime push. The Hulk comes in. The Wrecking Ball is just in time to contest, but JD will go down, and now it's just a constant stagger. Oh no, this is the worst position possible for Arcana.
But Anguish waits patiently in the wings with the EMP, ready to use that at any point in time, pushing forward now, again, just in the general vicinity, lurking like a cat watching a bird feeder. As it in pocket, could use it, gets detected there for a second, but it doesn't go down, tries to go in for the EMP, it's a little bit botched. He'll only get 3 with it. The Gravitic Flux will come in on the tail end. It's a good kill to get Spongy Cheese down in combination with the minefield, and now the other ults start flying in. This will probably be the end here for a rather improbable push by MuscleBound Gaming. They're still keeping the fight alive. Minimax doesn't get res in the midst of everything. Jaffner with the absolute miracle resurrection there, as if resurrection itself wasn't a miracle enough, but unfortunately, not enough miracles in the Miracle Bank today. Spongy Cheese, the last one left alive, fighting here. Never mind, Kemi's dropping back in. Kemi tries to save it alone, but he can't. Oh, such a bold and beautiful play at the end there, fighting, but not enough.
MuscleBound really almost brought that back. I thought for a second they were going to do it, but unfortunately the healing just wasn't there in time. That being said, for 1 minute, pushing it across point B a second time is a fantastic overtime push. Arcana Judgement need to beat that now. And unfortunately, considering how long it took them to capture point A the first time, we're going to need to be seeing some pretty severe adjustments in order for them to be able to match it.
Right, and I don't think we can expect MuscleBound Gaming to go with such an aggressive hold again, dividing. I don't see that coming out early on, right? They'll probably play a little bit farther back, but the interesting thing being shown here by Arcana Judgement is something that starts with the letter B. Anguish coming out on the Bastion. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think this is a sort of all-or-nothing play that you do when you have to just try and hold one place for a really long time, which is what Arcana Judgement knows they're at. They know that even if they manage to win the first fight, they're going to have to win another, and another, and another. And the easiest way they see to be able to do that is to be able to get a Bastion set up on this point and make MuscleBound Gaming's life just terrible, trying to get anywhere close to the point. MuscleBound Gaming's going to try and squash it right here. Here comes another close hold push.
Well, it is that close hold indeed, and I said they might not try it, but they'll prove me wrong. Unfortunately, Anguish has set up there on the high ground. They're playing up underneath the Bastion, trying to really not give him much of a sightline, and if anything, they're doing a good job here of just burning down time.
JD
you
drops.
see the Tesla gun firing out right there. The drop does come in as JD just starts to push this cart forward. That being said, JD is alone. They're not even really focusing on it here. Anguish still up here on the high ground trying to get kills in. Carson kicked out to the flank now, has a beautiful sightline in. The storm arrows coming out from Carson will get 2 as Minimax also falls. Carson with a beautiful dome to make it a 3K. Beautiful, beautiful play from the Hanzo. And they will get through here, but a lot of time wasted by that close hold.
I am slightly confused here because JD dropped down very early onto the cart to try and get it moving. Was by himself for a solid like 10-15 seconds, and MuscleBound Gaming didn't really push it. I know that like they're worried about the Bastion. If they worry about that, someone will probably get picked off, I assume is the issue there, but that really put pressure on the point, and you can see the confusion start to move through MuscleBound Gaming. Now, of course, we do end up in with overtime as Arcana Judgement is nearing the end of point A.
Arcana Judgement will try and fight it out here early on. We are officially in overtime. Minimax does get a kill. JD got you now in position to just deal damage all over the place. The Dragon sailing in there as well. In the back of the Gravitic Flux will get 2. Now Monarch dead right there, and we will see Hazer trying to just finish off Kemi and burn these doors open. They will go in, but a lot of ults used right there, dividing all things considered.
Yeah, Arcana Judgement used a lot to make sure they could get through to point B, and they did it. But now we look at the other side and we see Titanic with an EMP built. What took Anguish 2 points to build up in their defense, Titanic has done it in 1. And because of that, this might just be the difference maker that leads to a MuscleBound victory. They have to figure out how to deal with this. Spongy Cheese is down.
Spongy Cheese dying early on there is a terrible loss. Kemi losing the mech here as well. And the Bastion coming straight through, and MuscleBound Gaming does not like a taste of what they were laying down earlier on this map. Anguish just clear. The EMP coming out, it's a big one, but the follow-up just not there. They might have used it too early. There's no ults to combo with it. Monarch dies. And that's tragic, because that was the fight winner right there. A Diva Bomb does go sailing up, but you feel like it was barely needed. Carson doing the sweeper duties around the cart. Oh no, dividing.
Carson is the hero of this map for Arcana Judgement. If they can finish this, gets the opening pick on his Spongy Cheese before they can set up the EMP, and that allows for MuscleBound Gaming to go into a sort of state of disarray, and now Arcana Judgement are 10 meters away from ending this.
Shatter coming in, and it's big. Can they follow it up? Monarch gets an early kill there onto Anguish. So the DPS is down, at least temporarily, but Minimax will die here. The Junkrat of Titanic has to be huge. He's popping off. He's got one. He's going for the other support, but he won't bring him down. Nico Slayer trying to keep it alive here. He's got his off-tank in position as well. Monarch picks him off in midair. The sound barrier coming out. My God, MuscleBound Gaming save it at the last ditch on the back of Minimax.
My goodness, what a map, Corbeck. In the end, the last second swap to Junkrat ends up being the secret ingredient that MuscleBound Gaming needed to break through this Bastion comp. And that is a heartbreaker to lose if you're Arcana Judgement. You are within 2 meters of breaking the curse, and yet you are staring down the barrel of yet another 3-1 scoreline against this MuscleBound Gaming squad. That has to be a heartbreaker.
What about Minimax in that shatter to start that off, though? That was so well done. He just kind of jumped in straight into the line of fire right there. No Fear Cavalier slams it down, and that was what kind of opened it up, because it took Anguish out of the contention, and they just sort of surged forward right there. But surely Arcana Judgement, they must be unhappy about that one dividing, but you have to take a little bit of hope from that. You did so well to push them to that point, right? You definitely made MuscleBound Gaming fight for every bloody inch of Junkertown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is it. If you're Arcana Judgement, you've got to take this as, okay, we know that we can do this, and not necessarily that, oh, this is already basically over. Arcana Judgement showed a lot of really good strategies in that map. They showed that mechanically and strategically, they could go toe-to-toe with MuscleBound Gaming. They just have to take that last step, and they have to do it right now, because their backs are up against the wall. MuscleBound Gaming are on match series GitGud tournament point right here, and so they got to put it together right here, right now, Corbeck.
They do have to put it together. Any time now would be good, right? And unfortunately, the last map, or not the last map, but the next map, I should say, hopefully not the last map for Arcana Judgement, but it will be Volskaya. So not a lot of teams particularly would love the idea of moving to assault map when everything is on the line. The most reviled map mode in the entirety of Overwatch, not giving it a lot of room for error and allowing for some kind of runaway plays. Now, if you're sitting in the position of Arcana Judgement here dividing, I do wonder what you're going to do. The sides are not swapping, so Arcana will start off on the attack again.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about what Volskaya is good for, there's a lot you could do on point A. Point B, though, is a very brawly map. We tend to see teams play Brawl Rush because, you know, the second point is underneath this ceiling. It's kind of just like a straight line to the point. So Rush is generally the best idea to close that distance. And I think maybe Arcana Judgement are kind of banking on that comp that got them, that honestly they kind of won the Rush Brawl matchup all the way back on map 1 on Busan. I mean, they're looking back, they're going, what worked for us? What won us that map? And I think that might be what they're going for. And they're just praying that Titanic doesn't go far again.
That is going to be the problem right there. If Titanic does bring out that Pharah was relatively oppressive on Eichenwald. We think back to the second stage defense of Eichenwald, and it genuinely felt like Arcana Judgement were just getting battered like a cork in a storm. It wasn't very particularly good for them, and we will see if maybe they can change things up and go into this. I will say I don't think Volskaya is, you know, the greatest Pharah map that has ever existed in terms of Pharah gameplay, but you can certainly get one in, right, and make use of it. Yeah. And speaking of getting things in, Reverb is coming back into the lineup in place of Watercliff.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Watercliff play the Brigitte. We also saw them play the Lucio as well. So I think maybe it was just a map thing, maybe just sort of a Junkertown specialist there for Arcana Judgement, but now the original main support is back in. And look at this. If this holds, we've got ourselves almost a a mirror matchup here. The main difference is going to be Titanic on the Sombra, while Anguish is currently on the McCree. So I think Arcana Judgement going for more pure damage. This is the comp that was so successful for them on Busan Shrine. I think it was 100-0 on that map there. And then MuscleBound Gaming, hoping that Titanic can get a ton of value off with these hacks. If you can hack up the monkey mid-jump, that is golden situation there for MuscleBound Gaming. That's what they're looking for.
Excuse me, sir. That's a scientist, not a monkey.
Fair
I
enough.
should apologize to Winston right now.
I'm sorry, Winston. I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. My dog is also named Winston, so every time he hears me cast that, he's like, yo, what? Anyway, jumping straight in, speaking of Winston, Minimax gets murked on the very front line at the very start. Spongy Cheese is dead here as well, and what is this? Oh my lord, Arcana Judgement passes the sentence and swings the sword and comes out and takes this first point in blistering style.
I didn't even blink, and we're already done with point A. I don't know, Arcana Judgement used the speed boost super early, jumped in, used the close-up damage of Carson and Anguish. JD, they executed this sort of 6-man dive to perfection, I think, and oh my gosh, look at that time bank. That is 6 minutes on the clock. When do you see that?
Oh, and they're surging forward again. They're not stopping. Look at this aggression. Spongy Cheese finally stops JD Gotchu dead in his tracks. Anguish trades it out, but it does look like, to the best of their abilities, MuscleBound Gaming have managed to stabilize here after an ugly first point defense, but my lord, does Arcana Judgement have all the time in the world to pick this lock.
Yeah, I mean, that was insane from Arcana Judgement. Imagine if that had actually worked and they ended up finishing Volskaya with like 5 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. That would be insane. But as it is, we are currently in a position where, I mean, we're both teams. This has been super brawly, super up close, and because of that, almost everyone on the field is coming up on their ultimate pretty soon. This is about to get flashy, Corbeck.
Anguish tries to pop the high noon, but the hack comes in. 3 members here of Arcana Judgement get caught by the EMP, but the kills all going in favor of Arcana Judgement. Thankfully, Kemi's bomb is there, and MuscleBound Gaming will at least temporarily stabilize. JD Gotchu jumping back onto point here as the Primal comes out from Minimax. He's just trying to keep the point going, keep the point alive, and get his team back so they can continue their defense. Out comes a Coalescence from Nico Slayer on the back line, but it's not finding very much value. Minimax will go down to Hazer. Hazer drops the bomb. It comes sailing in over the top. They're nearly at a tick here, at least initially, as Titanic jumps in and goes for the punch. He'll sail back out, and they will continue going. A hack onto Kemi there as the first tick is in. 4 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock, by the way. That's how crazy this attack has been. A Death Blossom coming out from Spongy Cheese finds no one, because Hazer is in position to shut it down, eats all that damage. Spongy Cheese still fighting here, though, as Minimax is ushered back to the spawn room just one more time. The ticks continuing to come in here as Kemi jumps on, and this is absolute desperation straight from MuscleBound Gaming. The sound barrier coming out in a last-minute attempt to keep the contest going. They've got Minimax back in on the action, and he will come sailing out again. The Tesla gun firing away, and finally Reverb will go down. There goes Nico Slayer. 2 big picks for the defenders, and it is enough to stabilize, but my god, what a close run thing it was.
Say it with me, chat. 2CP, straight up, right there. Man, that looked to be Arcana Judgment's fight. I thought for sure that was going to be a blazing fast time on Volskaya, but unfortunately Kemi, with the Hero Diva Bomb, manages to pick up 2, and that put just enough doubt into Arcana Judgment's attack that MuscleBound Gaming were eventually able to take it, but a tick was gained, so...
A tick was gained, and 4 big EMP hacks, I think, coming in right there into the midst of everything. Titanic is still alive, but Kenny drops the minefield and gets 3, gets 4! What? Kemi with the mines! Good lord! Out here committing crimes with a minefield, my god!
I mean, you don't see that very often. Arcana Judgement is almost desperate to get onto this point. They really want to make this fast take work, and as of right now, it seems like every time they're right on the edge of making it happen, but then Kemi comes through with a clutch ultimate to blow it all away. Arcana Judgement now with 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Carson with the Death Blossom. Jafner doesn't have the beat. They don't have a defense matrix to eat it either.
Jafner is dead here as well, as the Death Blossom does come up the middle. That'll be Nico Slayer who's brought down. Spongy Cheese, though, in desperate straits, getting pursued right there. The sound barrier coming out from Reverb. Nico Slayer still dead, not able to get back into the fight just yet. Hazer will get Spongy Cheese off the board. Now Minimax putting pressure on the front line, just trying to buy some space for his squad. It was a rough opening to the engagement for them, but they will hold it together. Monarch spraying the healing in to keep him propped back up, and I don't know, Dividing, it looks like it might be a quick re-engage here. They are certainly showing it, and they will come back in over the top deck, not giving any room to breathe whatsoever. Kemi, he's going around for the big play. He messes up the swing. It's okay, Kemi. Nobody saw that. Definitely didn't happen on stream. You just go ahead and swing in there, do your thing. As Titanic does his thing, gets a mech and a body with the high noon. The minefield comes down as well, and Anguish, well, discretion, the better part of valor right there.
The pressure here is so high for MuscleBound Gaming and Arcana Judgement. We're seeing both these teams make mistakes that aren't necessarily characteristic of them. In the first fight, we saw Reverb use the beat after Nico Slayer was already dead, losing most of your healing. In that fight, we see Kemi setting up for a big swing and messing it up. These players are under so much pressure right now. This is grand finals right here, and it's going to come down to which team makes the least mistakes. As of right now, that is MuscleBound.
Sweating literal buckets here. Titanic gets one, but the EMP comes in on the other side. Spongy Cheese, however, cares not for your EMP, and neither does Monarch, because the Coalescence comes sailing in. The Kamehameha Beam gets one, and that will be the end of the fight right there. And MuscleBound Gaming have gone from rags to riches on the second point defense.
They had 6 minutes, Arcana Judgement did. 6 minutes to try and take this. They had so many opportunities, and none of them have stuck. Now Arcana Judgement are going to swap onto a Reinhardt, try and go with a brawl the good old-fashioned way. Kemi there, however, is there to match. It's gonna come down to if Arcana Judgement can use this beat and Coalescence to effectively address on this defense.
The bomb comes sailing in, but Monarch gets the immortality field out in time, and it looked like it was going to be beautiful. Titanic goes for the point-blank high noon, but finds nothing. It was a great Coalescence coming in right there to prop up that Death Blossom as well. And finally, the safe is cracked. There will be some desperation contest coming in. Kemi casually rolling across the point, but it is not enough. And Arcana Judgement, they take it. After taking, what was it, 5 minutes and 45 seconds?
I think it was over 6 minutes.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, that is insane. I guess better late than never, if you're Arcana Judgement, for sure. They do manage to bring it across the finish line thanks to some beautiful engagement tools and Coalescence and Bomb. I said beat before, too. I definitely meant Diva Bomb. They used it perfectly early on in the fight to put pressure on MuscleBound Gaming, force them to move, and then take advantage of it from there. Unfortunately, it took them 6 minutes to put together a fight like that, so that means it is now in overtime, and MuscleBound Gaming currently showing the Titanic bar, which was such a big problem for Arcana Judgement on Eichenwald. If MuscleBound Gaming can finish this with over a minute on the clock, then Arcana Judgement only has a draw and a series extension to play for.
That's genuinely Dividing one of the most brutal sort of just knock them down, drag them out like fights I think I've seen on Volskaya in a really long time. It's like the Battle of Helm's Deep when the wall gets opened up. And it's just a big old scrum right there in the middle of everything. And I mean, you love to see it. It feels like it's, you know, not necessarily exclusive down here in the rookie division, but certainly a little bit easier to manifest those kind of fights down here. I absolutely loved it because it was so brutal. But we'll see what they've got coming in right here. Arcana Judgement on the defense will bring out JD Got You on the Reinhardt to start things off. They're going to allow this rotate to occur in the main. Spongy Cheese there making some choices, doubling back into the garage. Minimax sets up on the top deck here, just poking, prodding, trying to find some sort of hole in the enemy defense. Titanic, though, the one who will be the needle here in terms of making holes. And up on the top deck now, it's a bold attempt to get up there and contest from the Diva, and Hazer is lucky to get out of it with the mech, at least that time. Spongy Cheese now well in control of the high ground, just cannot bring down that final shot. Sometimes you hit him and sometimes you don't. The gunfire continuing right there. Spongy Cheese still hunting. He'll throw the spray to calm his nerves, but he still can't find a target up here. And that is frustrating indeed. Titanic, though, sitting on the back of a barrage. What was that? Titanic leaps over the top with a concussion blast and just takes Anguish out. Titanic might die here. No, the Mercy Pocket remains strong, and they will be up, and they will have the barrage should they choose to use it, but I think they'll forgo it here to win this point.
Yeah, beautiful play there from MuscleBound, and look at all the ultimates that they're going to have here, Korvek. All they have to do is just cap this with a minute on the clock, and they will be able to they'll be able to play for the win next and extra rounds. Once again, a familiar sight, Carson on the Soldier 76, a second hit scan character to try and deal with Titanic, who they know for certain has the barrage, and it could be the death toll for Arcana Judgement here if they can't counter it. Reverb does have the beat. It's going to probably come down to either him or one of the DPS to take down Titanic before he does too much damage. There you go.
And they will. Yeah, they will. Unfortunately, Necromancy coming into play right there. You don't necessarily expect it. Oh no! Hazer! He got booped out of the mech and into the sea. Oh, the cold waters of Russia envelop him, and there's nothing he can do about it. A bomb does come sailing over there, but Minimax is in play, and Anguish goes out as well. And there's another one. Reverb is down. Titanic's in. The barrage comes out, but they barely even need it. The point is theirs. There's a coalescence coming in from Nico Slayer to try and keep this defense in the pocket. It's not quite working. The bubble blocks out the bomb, and with 4 minutes, 15 seconds on the time bank, it looks like MuscleBound Gaming might take this. Anguish, though, will not give it up without a fight. Titanic does go down, but Kemi's there to trade almost immediately. Now JD got you in the general area, and once more back from the dead is Titanic on the Farah to keep this fight going. There's Spongy Cheese with the high noon in the pocket. Still, bodies here from Arcana Judgement. They are not giving this up. They are dug in and fighting as long as they can. That last bit of contest there coming out from Anguish might just be enough to buy them some time to get the respawn in. Carson does go down.
No way,
Carson
right?
got a pick in the middle of that, but Titanic is here. Titanic will not be silenced. I say that, though, and it does look like Arcana Judgement slowly but surely building
Titanic.
bodies back up. It's just not enough. Minimax jumps in, and they have dug this victory out from the jaws of defeat right down there in the throat.
Say it with me again, chat. 2CP! It happens again! MuscleBound Gaming used 4 ultimates over the course of that fight just to try and finish it, but Arcana Judgement, they just keep staggering on. They get 1 pick, and then they get a second, and they manage to claw themselves back into this. Still 3 minutes, though, and with 2 ticks now, I mean, they do not have the same luxury if this is to happen again. Titanic has another barrage. Carson, though, will have the tack visor on the other side. Probably wants to pop that early before they get too entrenched on the point.
Well, a flurry of ultimates is coming in. The Minimax there with the Primal tries to get JD got you off, and he certainly does. Minimax gets some. Titanic gets it as well. Titanic does die, but they might have done just enough spike damage there at the start to really make things count as Kemi is res back in. We'll call the mech on, and nobody touches.
Hazel can't get there.
Gaming takes it on the second effort.
Man, this has just been such a brutal map from both sides. Both these teams have been playing so fast, so furious, just trying to get the upper hand on the other, but it seems like it is MuscleBound with the upper hand here right now. 2 minutes and 30-ish seconds on the clock to take 1 tick of point A. And Korvek, if they do that, they are the GitGud North America Rookie Division champions. Arcana Judgement are playing to stay alive.
Yes, they certainly are. It is time to dig deep, deep down inside themselves and find whatever steel, metal, whatever you want to call it they have in there and bring it out to the fore. 2 minutes, 28 seconds. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough dividing, but I would say that it enters into the category of doable. We are not in the realm of impossible here in terms of holds, right? This can be done.
Absolutely. 2 minutes and 30 seconds is definitely doable. Arcana Judgement are correctly reading that Titanic is going to come out on the Pharah yet again. They have Carson on the Soldier again and Anguish on the Ashe to try and deal with this Farm Mercy, which has just been such an issue for them whenever it comes out. MuscleBound, playing more of the same. This has worked for them so far, and they're hoping that it can carry them to a championship.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we'll see just how far they can get it to go right here. Monarch coming in on that Ana there, I think, is the only real significant change. So a little bit of a swap on the support line. How much of a difference will it make? Titanic's up. He's going for the boop. Fortunate for the side of Arcana Judgement that nobody was caught out right there. And Titanic having to play very carefully because these hit scans are hunting for farms. But it's Minimax. They were watching the wrong angle. Minimax just cracks this wide open. Like he's made a poor science fair egg drop, and the egg is done, dusted. MuscleBound Gaming break it open, and they are the NA Rookie Champions for Season 7 of GitGud here at ELO Hell.
Man, what a game that was. That Volskaya, that Junkertown, they were so close in both directions. So many opportunities for both teams, but in the end, it is MuscleBound Gaming who are able to come up clutch when it matters most and take home the championship today. Look at these mines from Kemi, just beautifully placed there. Man, that was so great. And
it
that
was a play.
It was indeed a play. And that is the championship point for MuscleBound Gaming. The #1 seed managed to fulfill their destinies and become GitGud champions this season, Corbeck.
Unfortunately, Arcana Judgement, they put up a hell of a fight. I think that was some very tough gameplay from them, some very entertaining Overwatch coming out there as well, but they cannot break that 3-1 curse that MuscleBound Gaming has placed upon them. The unbreakable spell right there coming in big from the MuscleBound Gaming side to wrap this match up. We hope you enjoyed that Rookie Division Grand Final, but the Overwatch action is not done just yet. Right after this break, we're going to be back with the Advanced Division Grand Finals. It's Help Desk Hogan versus Dirt. Don't go anywhere. It promises to be an absolute dream matchup here on the ELO Hell channel.